People have always asked me, I've moved from state to state, how did you get started in music? Well, it started at a very, very, very young age. I think my first concert was during toilet training. I knew one line, Jesus loves me, and that's all they got, but they got it a lot. And I grew up in church singing in choirs and at family reunions, and my parents noticed there was something a little different. I wasn't real shy, and I could harmonize. So things just kind of barrel rolled from there. But my roots are definitely in the church. And there were a lot of musicians in my family. I'm from Indiana, very small town. My great-grandmother was a musician. My grandmother was a very accomplished musician and didn't read a note of music, but anything she picked up, she could play it in about 5 minutes. She's the one who sat me down on a Lowry organ, if you folks out there remember those. And that was her prized possession. She worked very hard to get that organ, and she put the little paper keyboard labels on me and shut the door and said, teach yourself. And that's what happened. So my dad did the same thing with a guitar. Yard sale guitar, piece of crap guitar actually. Roy Clark songbook with little stickers, and you had to put them on the neck of the guitar and learn your chords. And the same thing, here's the guitar, here's your book, teach yourself. So I never took a lesson anywhere. I never took voice lessons except for school. And I found out as I entered into my teenage years that musicals were a really awesome thing to be in if you love to sing. And getting the lead in musicals in high school was like dream come true for me. And I enjoyed them. I learned a lot doing those. I learned about performing on a stage, which helps a lot when you become a working musician later in life. I have never forgotten any of those lessons, and the biggest one I learned was, if you don't know how to do something, you need to teach yourself. Don't wait for somebody else to come along and do that for you. So that's my roots, that's my groundwork. All of my influences growing up were local musicians in Indiana. One of them being Karen Minter. I have to mention her because we lost her a couple years ago, and she was my idol. She was a local lounge singer in Indiana and Kentucky, and I idolized her, and she was extremely talented. She just went around to different local little things with her guitar, and she'd get up and sometimes there'd be a house band, sometimes it would just be her. She even played in like hotel lounges back then, which was like a crazy thing that, people don't even do that anymore. But yeah, I followed everything that she did, and I was 14, I wanted to be her. And then there were other house bands that I played with. I traveled all over the place. My parents had to drive me for every gig I had because I didn't have a license yet. So we went to Shepherdsville, Kentucky, to huge country music halls. They always had this huge house band. It was family friendly. There was fish frying every weekend at these places, concession stands, a huge dance floor, and that is where I got my feet wet of getting up and singing with a band. And I was hooked. That was it. After I got out of high school and graduated, of course, back in 1983, you didn't say, hey, Mom and Dad, I'm not going to go to college. I'm going to go on the road and try to be famous, okay? I'm going to start a band. Girls just didn't do that back then. So I got married, had children, sang in church, and the band thing and the music thing kind of faded away. So I approached my husband at the time, and we were in the Navy at the time, and we were up in New England. Said, I'd like to sing again. He said, well, I can't allow you to do that. So we got divorced, and it was better for both of us. It was not a healthy relationship. So we were high school sweethearts, and he did bless me with two beautiful sons, but we don't belong together. Um, but we had a rough falling out, and I put an ad in the paper and found my first band, Backstage Pass. Got picked up right away, started going all over New England. Um, Two agents did all the work for us. We just showed up and played. But the keyboard player, um, Jeremy King, I haven't seen him in years. I hope you're well, Jeremy. He dropped out of Berkeley because he wanted to play live music. He was an awesome keyboard player. We had a young, redheaded, just wet behind the ears guitar player, a good drummer, and we booked that band all over New England, Connecticut, New Jersey, all over. I mean, I saw places I never even knew existed. It was great, though, to find out about New England. Fortunately, I didn't pick up the accent there, and I kept my little bit of southern twang from southern Indiana down by Kentucky. But what a good time, and what a learning experience. I would go to bed at like 4 a.m. from traveling 2 hours away, get back up with two boys at 6 a.m. because we were a military family, and he was at sea. So it was like I was a single mom, but I couldn't date, if you know what I mean. Like living the single life for, single mom life, but not any amenities whatsoever. But I wouldn't change it for the world. It made me who I am. I kept playing in New England and got married again for the second time. Had two more boys. That marriage lasted a little over 10 years, and he never minded that I sang. We got along great, and I know that you guys out there know what I'm talking about. If you have a supportive partner or a supportive spouse with what you're doing, it does take a lot of the stress out of not only your relationship at home, but the family that you're forming having a band, because you do become a family. Those people do become like family to you, and it's very important to me. And I've had the pleasure and the honor and the privilege to play with some extremely talented people in my lifetime. And I've met a few characters along the way, and after that second divorce was final, I moved down south, if you can believe it or not. I mean, all the way down south. Georgia. I went to Georgia, and that's where my soon-to-be ex was from. We were trying to work things out, so I moved there. He called up. I know this is personal, but I'm going to say it anyway. Sorry, Jason. I'm not going to move down there. I'm going to move in with so-and-so. I don't remember her name now. So he left me and the kids and moved in with some lady. So I started another band. I'm not going to give up. I'm still going to play music. So we started another band. I was a bookstore manager for a big bookstore chain. I was in college at the same time, 15 credit hours, 40 hours at work, and still playing music on the weekends. I don't think I slept on Wednesday nights, if I'm correct. I think I just skipped Wednesday. I had too much homework, too much laundry. So, but I had a lot of help. I had good friends there. My mother-in-law was a huge force in my life then. Thank God for her, Jean Grenier, my second mama. My mother was very supportive, and we formed a band down there called Velvet Red. And Velvet Red was, I think, when I just became the front man I always wanted to be. Front woman, whatever. Okay, so Velvet Red, where Christine learned to spread her wings a bit, and I was pushed a lot by my fellow musicians, especially Phil Pacini, who is an amazing talent, Um, he did some crazy things on the guitar, things oh my gosh, is he really doing that? Like, it was crazy, but fun at the same time to play next to him because he was very spontaneous and he was a showman and the girls loved him. He was the typical hard rock guitar player with long hair. He was Italian and Polish, and I used to pick on him a lot because of it. And we had a great bass player, Lloyd Sawyer, which just came up from Georgia last month and surprised me at our gig at the Corral in Galesburg, which really tore my heart out. Him and his wife came up to visit just for a couple of days. It was wonderful to see him. He got up and played, and you know, you miss people like that. Earl Schlegel, he just retired. He was our drummer. We went through a couple of other guitar players, and I remember the rotten, I don't know, you guys have been in these, but rotten, horrible rehearsal rooms that you pay too much money for that are just, gosh, you're afraid you're gonna fall through the floor or there's gonna be another roach crawl. I mean, these are the things you pay for when you play in local bands, and I know everybody out there knows what I'm talking about. We had a young, kind of cocky guitar player, and I'm not gonna say his name, and you know, I'm a singer. People don't realize I do play instruments. I've never mastered any, but I do play and I do read music, and I'm not just the karaoke kid that you picked up off the street. Like, I've been doing this all my life. So I just simply asked, what key are we playing that in? Because I honestly do know most of the time. And he said, well, why do you need to know? I said, so when I quit this band today, I can tell the next band I'm playing in what key we're going to play it in. So I've kind of always had a good sense of humor about this. I've always been the only girl, surrounded by a bunch of guys and all of their drama. Not really a diva of any kind. I'm not really mean. People say, oh, it's easy to play with you, and I think that girls get a bad rep sometimes being female singers, but that's a good sign. So Hummingbird just flew through to hear the story. But yeah, I learned a lot playing with these guys. These very overly confident males that I was surrounded by, they teach you to get up there, belt that song out. Don't be afraid to get in the audience. Don't be afraid to talk to the audience. You'll get out there, connect with these people, because it's so important that you do. You're going to feed off of it too, not just them. So we were doing everything from Boston to a few country songs thrown in there, and some of these songs I was wailing, and AC/DC, and I'm a Girl. So Back in Black, you know, that's not my natural voice. That's a impersonation at best to sing something by AC/DC when you're a girl. But we made it, and we were booked everywhere. The band broke up, and it was because of Phil. Phil had he had kind of an addiction problem. We went on and formed Love Child, which was an acoustic setup, and we played all over the place, me and Phil, with all of his issues. But we did very well for ourselves there, and everything was tie-dyed. Incense burning when you walked in to watch us play. Candles burning. We even had this crazy beach ball that we carried around everywhere with us, and I don't remember his name now, but we had it hanging behind us just for fun. It was a fun, crazy experience, but the thing I learned from that is acoustically, you have to be on your game. You can't hide behind a loud drum. You can't hide behind somebody's guitar that's turned up too loud. You're out there. I mean, you're bare. You're bare bones, naked in front of this audience. You've got to be on your game. Your vocals have to be good. And that was good for me. That was very good for me. I learned so much from that. I'm humbled by it. I still am. If I play an acoustic song anywhere, I'm very humbled by it. It brings you back to like, hey, you got to tighten yourself up here. Don't make any mistakes. That little nervous feeling you get right before you play, it's back. You're not complacent. You're not too comfy. You're like, here we go, and I gotta really bring it. I don't want to disappoint these people. I learned a lot from that, and then I met someone and fell in love while I was working at the music store. Never heard that before, huh? I worked for American Music, and I'm the one who set up all the classes for the kids to come in and take their drum lessons and their trumpet lessons and their guitar lessons. And I worked again with a whole bunch of dudes. So we formed a band, Small Benny Rockers, from Albany, Georgia. Guess what town's right next to Albany, Georgia? Leesburg, Georgia. Guess who used to borrow our equipment when he came back home from Nashville and needed a PA to play at the Crow's Nest Bar in Albany? Mr. Luke Bryan. And I remember working in a music store down there. Big, tall boy, good-looking kid, deep voice walks in. I think he was with his dad and was buying something in the music store. Didn't think anything of it. He was in a band called the Kitchafuni Cowboys, I do believe, and they were really well known in that area down there at the time. And then after I moved away from Georgia, I was here DJing for Billy's Tap and bartending at the time. I hadn't been here that long. And I'm at my computer listening to what's you need to hear or what's new in country on CMT on their website. What pops up? Luke Bryan. All my friends say. I about fell out of my chair. Like, that's awesome. I was so excited for him. But the microphone that he used, it broke. But I kept it. I still got it. And we follow him to this day just because it was just a nice little thing to know somebody made it. Someone became so successful out of that little area down there, because it definitely is like a farming type community. People are hunting and fishing. He's not kidding. Every song he writes about, it's, if you're not from there, it really is true. Whew, Small Benny Rockers. We did a lot of gigs too, and very good musicians. My boss was my guitar player, Mike Boone. We had a couple of different other guitar players in the band, and Tony Fowler, who is no longer with us as of last year, he had these translucent orange drums. Kenny probably knows what I'm talking about. You could see through them. He would never play on any other drums but these orange translucent drums. But he was so good. His timing was great. He was just such a smooth operator on those drums. But those guys taught me that you don't have to belt everything. Christine, dial it back a little bit. Take your time. You got a big voice. Somebody called it a foghorn once. I'll never forget that. I think they meant it as a compliment. I didn't take it as one. I probably should have. They didn't mean it that way. But I can be very loud, and so I learned to control my voice. Another step in the right direction. So my instrument got a little better, and I can thank those guys for that. They were very good for me too. And I'm talking a lot right now, but if you shut up and listen a lot, you learn a lot. The equipment that I really have to care for is located in here, and the doctor bills from polyps being removed 3 times, the scar tissue that's on my vocal cords from singing for over 50 years, and all the things that go with that you have to learn to overcome will change the way you sing. I don't know about you people out there that are vocalists, but you do change the way that you are treating that voice and the way that you are singing. Your warm-up begins to get a little more extensive the older you get. Your vocal cords do shorten as you get older. Your hormones will affect it. Your allergies will affect it. What you eat and drink will affect it. If you don't know about it, you know, you can Google anything these days. So I'll let you guys do that because, you know, I had to do that too. I didn't know enough about it, so I learned. But moving on, away from the gear and the vocals. Some fun memories and some fun stories. Down in Albany, we were opening for Bad Company, the acoustic act Love Child, and we stuck around and watched them perform. So I lived in an apartment at that time with my kids and the guitar player who was renting an extra room because, of course, he had no place to live. Okay, so, and go ahead and laugh because, you know, that happens a lot. Okay, not just to guitar players, just people in general. Okay, just happen to be in that situation at the time. So he brings back to the apartment the drummer from Bad Company, who is not the original member. Don't get excited, okay? He was the fill-in drummer. A nice kid, and came back and gave drumsticks to the kids, you know, my kids, and they were thrilled. And then he wanted to know if he could leave his paycheck that he had just gotten for his performance and let me give him cash so he could score some blow before he leaves town to the next gig. And I'm like, absolutely not. And shame on you. And we should call your mom. So, no, I didn't give it to him. He was on his own after that. But the next day I did wake up and he had actually left money on the kitchen table for just letting him crash there that night. So, all in all, he turned out to be okay. Yeah, he was okay. I have so many stories, and some of them I am unable to tell because that would tell on me a lot. So I'll give you one that I can give you. We went to a concert, my band Velvet Red, Albany, Georgia, years ago. Me and the guitar player got in his MG, which he had it painted like some other kind of car. So we hop in this thing, don't take the topper, leave it, because it was a convertible, took a bottle of Canadian Club, drank it all the way down to Florida from Georgia, got to the beach, and we were in Panama City, and when we woke up, because it was raining, we were wrapped up in a blanket with a guitar between us and what was left of the bottle. It was spring break, and MTV was there. So we had to get up and move. We couldn't stay there. There were kids everywhere. And so we go get the car, and we're tooling around. We're like, we might as well stay here for the day. MTV's here. It's packed. Everything's hopping. So we went and watched some crazy show MTV was taping, and it started to really pour. So we jumped in what I call the Austin Powers car. That's what I called it because it's a little British car. And didn't have a topper. But thank goodness that thing is so low to the ground. We just parked it under a trailer that the truck was not attached anymore. They had set it down in the parking lot. We just parked it under there, went and got a hotel room. So the car stayed dry on the inside, at least, and we crashed because we had no business driving back in the condition we were in. I had no clothes to change into except the clothes I had wore to sing in. So we hit Wally World, and I got some cute little kitten t-shirt and some shorts, some flip-flops. Thank God for Walmart sometimes. And we had a really good time. But when I got back home, my boyfriend was a little upset. I think he broke a couple things that night, and I think, yeah, and that was the end of our relationship. Nothing happened between me and the guitar player. We were like brother and sister. But, yeah, he didn't really appreciate the trip we took. So, you know, oh well. But, moving along, now I'm here in Illinois. Oh my gosh, things are totally different here. And I moved here and got married to my husband Todd, who we've been married for, we've been together 16 years now. And I have adapted to Illinois and learned a lot about this area and have met a lot of really good musicians here too. But I started out bartending at Billy's, and then we started DJing at Billy's, and then open mic night with Mark Chatterton and Wes Simmons. And then me and Mark started playing together, and we are still together in Backstabbing Betty. I have learned a lot from Mark. He is a very talented guitar player, and he has defended my honor, so to speak. We've been playing out on several occasions. Once, and we were playing at Billy's, and this guy kept trying to grab the front of my shirt and pull it like down. He was, he was drinking and having a good time, but Mark took the neck of his guitar, turned it towards the guy, and pushed the guitar in his chest, pushed him backwards. He didn't bother me anymore after that. I've always had my big brother Mark. We had one guy that was making a ruckus down at the G-Spot down in Lewiston one night, and so Mark just put his guitar on his hip, pulled the guy by the shirt, kicked him out the back door of the G-Spot by pushing on him with his foot. Mark is spontaneously one of those people that comes to your defense, and he always has, whether it's the words he says or the things that he does, but he has always looked out for me. So thank you, Mark Chatterton, for everything you've done since I've been here playing music with you. We tried a little Bogart Jones kind of thing with Wes and Mark and me, but everybody kind of wanted to do their own kind of separate ways, and we kind of did. So Backstabbing Betty was formed, and of course Wes went on to do all kinds of awesome stuff with Bogart Jones. Right now in Backstabbing Betty, which is still playing, we have Mark Chatterton, Chris Collier, Sean Carley is on the bass, and Claude Youngren is on the drums. And they are like brothers to me. And we've been playing music in that band together for a while now. Wouldn't have it any other way. But the country music was what I sang when I was a young girl. So I kind of wanted to go back to that. And I missed it. And so I filled in for somebody in a band that Tim Woods and Claude and a couple other people were in, and it just kind of clicked, and so we formed Doghouse Daisy. I know that's a crazy name, Doghouse Daisy. I know it's kind of corny, and it's a funny name, but it's because I called my rehearsal room at my house the Doghouse. Why? Because I have 3 dogs. I have 2 English Bulldogs and a little Boston Terrier. So they were always there, trying to get in, and so I just called it the Doghouse. That's where everybody rehearsed. And both bands were rehearsing in that little room. Well, Doghouse Daisy started out with small beginnings, and now it is played everywhere. I never thought, and neither did the guys in the band. Claude, Tim and Tony Woods, their brothers, and myself, never thought this past summer that band would blow up like it did. We were all over the place. We were gigging everywhere. We were overwhelmed, exhausted, but we did it. We made it. Now things are starting to slow down just a little bit. Thank goodness. But those boys they work very hard, and we all have full-time jobs, and we're still gigging out everywhere. I will say, Tim is one of those musicians that he will play for anything, anywhere. And if you needed a benefit, you needed some help for that, he has got a huge heart. He's at nursing homes, at FCRC. He has gotten me to do all kinds of stuff with him, things that I hadn't done since I was a young girl musically. I used to go to the nursing homes and entertain. He got me doing that again. God bless him, because what a wonderful feeling that is that I had forgotten about. But yeah, he's worked very hard booking that band, and it shows. And it is a family-friendly, fun band. It's mostly country, some older rock and roll, and then a couple other little poppy songs, just so you could probably put that band just about anywhere and it would go over okay. But he is a hard-working musician, so I give that up to him. I know he's always got my back. Me and Claude's like my little brother, and I hope I never, ever have to stop playing music with him behind me. I know he's back there. He's an incredible drummer, and he just has gotten better and better and better over time. But he's Claude. I mean, he's shining every cymbal at the end of the night. He is so meticulous. He cares about every little detail, and because he does, it just makes us sound more professional. He's the professional person in the band. That's what I call him. I'm more of the free-spirited kind of person, and I just kind of go off on a what do you call that? Just a mashup of things sometimes, and they just follow me along. Thank God they do, and they never really complain about it. But it has been a very fun time doing this Doghouse Daisy band that I never thought would turn out the way that it has. And it's been a blessing, and it's been a real ride, and I can't wait to see where it goes next. We're always going somewhere we haven't been before. I think we're going to Augusta, Illinois, this weekend. Never been there. I have a good time. That's just the way gigs go sometimes. I'm not from Illinois, so I have discovered all kinds of places that I didn't know existed. We played in one place, and the place was, I can't remember the town, but it was the best egg rolls we ever had. And they were like homemade. I mean, she brought these out, and they were incredible. You just never know what treasure you're going to find. So, don't turn down or think that you don't want to do some gig somewhere, because you might find out that was the best thing you ever did. I just want to mention a few things before we're done with the interview this evening. I want to just thank Kenny and Deb Stewart for having us out here in her beautiful backyard and the garden and all the work they've done. And also, before I get away with what I'm about to say here in a minute, thank you to all the wonderful musicians that I have worked with all my life and everything that you've taught me. It means more to me than any of you will ever know. All the way back to my family. My mom was a huge promoter. She promoted benefits and events, and I kind of learned that from her, and she was really good at it. Regina, she is my biggest fan, and she did push me to do a lot of things, and I would not be where I am if it was not for my mom. So, love you, Mom. Now, with all that being said, I am coming up, I am going to just tell you, I'm 56 years old. I still sing full-time, and I work full-time as a florist. So this is like the perfect setting for a singer and that loves to work with flowers. I am moving into the next stage of my career, and some of you are already there with me, and some of you are ahead of me a little bit, and some of you are coming up behind me. To all the vocalists out there, take good care of your voice. Treat it with respect. It's more important than you know. During COVID, when we got shut down and we couldn't perform, it was depressing, okay? You don't know how much a part of you this music is until you're not doing it. You're not living it anymore. You're not performing. It's a big part of you. So all of you local musicians out there and live music, please support your live music. It's so important. And I was thinking back. Remember back when you were a kid. When I was a kid, it was early 70s. So we didn't have social media. We didn't have cell phones. We listened to records. We got out the tape cassette and waited hours for our favorite song to come on the radio so we could catch that one song that we loved so much. We bought albums. We cherished those songs were cherished. They were treasured. They were something you did a lot of work to get. Now everything is so accessible. Everything is, you want to hear a new song, just pull it up on your phone, okay? It's so quick and so easy that people today really don't appreciate catching that song like I did growing up. So appreciate. I mean, there's new artists out there. I'm not saying anything about the music I grew up with is better than music today. I am not saying that. Let me just put that out there right now. But going forward in my singing career, before I'm done, I really want to delve back into original writing, which I used to do, and I have not had time to do it. That's a goal of mine. You always need a goal, folks. You gotta have a goal. Okay, don't give up. There's always something to learn. There's always something new to do. Don't get complacent. Don't get bored with yourself. If you are, find something new to learn, okay? Before you're unable to, okay? I have a lot of great memories from playing live music, and I have good ones and I have bad ones. I've had relationships ruined because of it. It is a double-edged sword, my friend. Being good at something is great, and enjoying it is great, but there's also the hard work that comes along with it, and everything that it does damage sometimes. There are fun times to be had. I have fought with my fellow musicians. I have loved them. I have dated them. Never married any of them. But I've also been their best friend and their worst enemy, and I'm sure that's true with all of us. I hope my voice continues to serve me well. I don't plan on stopping anytime soon. I guess until people tell me to get off the stage. They haven't said it yet. I've tried to be more of a musician, but all my life I've been told, Christine, just sing. You don't need to play the guitar. You don't need to do any of that. That's somebody else's job. Sing. People want to hear you sing. So I took their advice, and I quit trying to master anything else and master what God gave me. He gave me a lot of great things, and I want to share them and use them, and I hope that my fellow musicians out there do the same. Please share your talent. Don't hide it away. You've got something great to share with the world. By all means, go for it. And I guess in closing, one of the best things, funny things that ever happened to me was one of the fights I got into over a song with one of my guitar players, and I walked off and I went home, and I'm like, you know what, like most women, I'm going to forget about this day. I'm going to soak in the tub. I'm going to put some Calgon in here. Girls, that was, you know, before all the other fancy stuff and bath bombs. We had Calgon back then. So I was just relaxing in there, and all of a sudden the door comes open, and the guitar player gets in the bathtub, fully clothed, and sits down in front of me and says, I'm not getting out of this bathtub until we work this out. Well, we worked it out. The band stayed together. But sometimes you go through some crazy things to stay together. You go through addiction problems. You watch your friends get divorced. You lose some of them along the way. And then you gain new ones. So it's been a ride, let me tell you. It's been a journey. And I don't regret a minute of it. Not a minute of it. At my age now, I'm thankful for every gig. I'm thankful for every new song I learn. I'm thankful for every new talent that I see. Younger people, you know, out playing live music. God bless you. I mean, my hands are up to you. That's something I want to look forward to when I'm not playing so much. I want to come watch you play. That's also on my bucket list. Go watch some other musicians play. I don't get to do that often enough. I do want to say that There's not a song that I have sang that I didn't feel it. Every note, every bit of it. I might even cry. There's certain songs that really get to me, and even if it's a song I've sang 1,000 times, I still feel it when I'm singing it. And I know I'm connecting with someone when I look out there and people are tapping their fingers on the table, or they're singing every word with me, or their foot is starting to tap and they're starting to get into the music. And the applause is great. Sometimes you get it, sometimes you don't. But when they look at you and you look back at them and they're enjoying themselves, you've made a moment. You've made a moment right there. You just made a moment for someone. They had a good time that day. They were out with their wife. They were with their girlfriend. They were with their buddies having a few beers. They just got off the golf course. They just got married. It's a celebration of life. There's 30 residents from a nursing home gathered around in their little community room, and they're tapping their feet and they're singing along to some Johnny Cash song you're playing and singing. You've made a moment and you've made a memory. Making music is so important, and even more important these days. So hang in there, all my fellow musicians, because I still got a long way to go, and you guys do too. Okay, so before I leave you, I just want to say thank you to my family. Thank you to my friends who've come out and watched me play so much. You're so loyal. You're so loved by me. I hope you know that. All of you. And if I start to mention all of you, I'll forget someone. So you know who you are. You're there at every gig. You're there at every show. Thank you for coming, and I hope that you continue to come. Patsy Cline, Stevie Nicks. Their list is very, very long of female musicians that I like to listen to. Aretha Franklin, Nina Simone. One of my all-time favorites is Eva Cassidy. She's no longer with us, but look her up. Amazing vocalist, and so sorry that she's gone too soon. And like I said, my local people, I love to catch you when I can. From the Rockin' Papas to Jay and Sam over there in Galesburg, LP 33, to all the originals around here, like the Jet Fighter pinups, which I get to see once in a blue moon. You name it. If I can come out and see you, I will. Formerly the Fox. I've caught one of their shows. Very good. Who else have I seen recently that I would love to go see again? Wow. I work too much. Can you tell? I work too much. I can't even remember who I saw last. But, keep going. Oh, Austin Weston. You guys you're so fun, and you're very good. You're very talented young man. I hope you keep going. I hope you keep with it. And then, of course, before I leave, thank you to my 4 sons for telling me things like, Mom, you're going to wear that to sing in before I walk out the door. Because I've heard that. You're not going to do that, are you? That song didn't sound too good. To Lucas, to Jacob, Christopher, and Jackson. You have been my inspiration to keep going when I didn't want to keep going. Especially playing gigs. It was rough sometimes. And I love you boys. And thank you, Todd, my husband, who has put up with more abuse and neglect and always coming second. I love you very, very much, and I'm your biggest fan. Okay, so I did say to someone I'm not going to talk about gear because I'm no expert, okay? I mean, I've been called the throat, the singer, the chick, so, you know, people don't think I know that much about equipment, so I really can hook up a PA. I know where things go to plug them in and make them work, but I'm not going to do that. And enjoying it is great, but there's also the hard work that comes along with it and everything that it does damage sometimes.
Hang on. Sorry about that.
It's okay, I saw it going and I'm like, should I give it grab?
Just keep going. Okay.
Alright, so there were fun times to be had. Thanks for having me.